Dunks in the morning, dunks in the evening, dunks all the time. Today we are joined by the Binda. We are joined by Stonkington. Binder, tell us about life.
Wow. Um, tell you about what? Tell you about life? You
Tell
can't.
me
I
about,
can't start off my morning with this.
but life. It's like we live, so you should be able to tell us about life because you live.
Uh, sleep, eat, work, poop, shower, fuck, rinse, repeat.
I was wondering where the humpins would come in. The fact that it's last on the list means you're not doing it right.
Oh,
You are not doing it
Jesus.
right. You need to reevaluate that breakdown and at least have it be in third place. At least third. At least. Were
Okay.
you waiting for
Well,
the sex robot?
you
Are
can
you what?
put that in any order that you would like. These are just all things that need to get done.
So once the sex robot comes out, then it'll probably go up on the list, right?
No, I will not
Is
have a
that
sex robot.
no?
It's not on my list of things to spend my money on.
All right, very good. Okay, well, um, we went down overnight, then we came back up, and now we're basically right where we closed effectively within a couple of nickels. Data this morning is what it is. Basically came in flat. There's no way that you can look at that data and be like, oh, this is horrible, or oh, this is amazing, or oh, this is anything, other than to say that good data has a tendency, and that's how it was interpreted as being positive data, has an upward effect on the dollar. The dollar spiked off the data, so here we are. I'm sitting here looking at the dollar for it to double top right in through this area where it's sitting right now. Entirely possible that it does. If it does, fantastic, Jackson, we're good. If the dollar wants to thump to the upside, we could give back and then more and potentially test the lows from last night. However, with additional data tomorrow, with NVIDIA reporting this evening, with Powell on Friday, in my opinion, this is opinion, we could get a short covering rally. Low is tilted bear since the beginning of the week. So if we get any type of covering, that could be very, very productive for the market to the upside. We always have to look at what is risk on, risk off in this environment based on that move down off of 430 on SPY. The vast majority of flow since that point has come in bearish, which means, again, my opinion, risk off on a move like that would be covering. So let's see what we get on the day. Bender. Can you tell us about these lines that you have for us? And
I
whether or not we should inhale all of them all at once or just methodically work through them?
it's
Which
always
one?
methodically work through them.
All right.
The latter
Doing
just gets you
method,
into trouble.
vertical and horizontal. It applies to all aspects of life.
Okay. Uh, well, first things first. It's Theta Killing Wednesday, so keep that in mind when you are taking positions. Uh, we know that quite often, especially on Wednesdays, we might get a move out of the gate, and then they like to chop around for a while and burn premium. Not saying that'll happen, just remember that. Keep it in mind. Um, Yesterday, a gap was filled on SPY, so that is good. We held that gap as support, the bottom of that gap as support. There is still a looming gap that I see. You can see it on the daily, but that's down at like 390, 391. So
Mhm.
uh, if we, you know, were to approach that in the coming weeks, we will keep that in mind. Outside of that, we're at 4133. Levels above. You got the 50 MA on the 60 minutes at 4141. Just above that, 4154 is that fib and that level that we have been talking about for weeks. So got to keep that on watch. and then above that 4170. You got trendline resistance there, and the 89 MA on the 60 minutes at 4174. Midpoint on the Bollinger Bands on the daily is 4182. So we are currently trading below that. You know, a lot of times once we cross that midpoint, you start to look for that, lower band, but that's all the way down at 4,000. So we'll see what happens. If we do push up and we start approaching that 41, I think 4170 is gonna be a bear or a bitch or whatever you want to call it if we should push up to that. And if we do, you got to look at that 4182. Levels below the 10 and the 20 MA on the 60 minute are squished together, 4126 and 4127. Just below that, I have a fib 4121 half, and then 4112 trendline support. I'm going to post a chart real quick. So this chart, I had the lower trend line on this chart, which I had posted yesterday, which is a previously trendline resistance has now kind of been acting as, or at least overnight, acted as support. The trend line that I did not have previously, that I added, came from Green Eggs and Bam. Thank you for that. There is trendline support, this orange trend line up above. Here's the chart. And sorry, it's kind of busy, but you can see that orange trend line above that's been trend line support, and then the blue trend line below that's trend line resistance. It's now acting as support. And what you see in the middle is a modified shift pitchfork that gives you the sort of regression levels in between those two trend lines. And they're not perfect, but if I zoom in on this, you will see that there has been some reaction there. So in the very short term, I need to adjust that a little bit, but in the very short term, shorter time frames, I will be watching those lines, and I'll call them out if we approach one in either direction. So that's about all I got.
All right. So that's interesting. This is, what does that orange line represent? What is that? See, I see you're drawing it from the bottom of a gap, I guess.
Yeah. So I took the top of the. So we had the gap down on June 12th, and both of those lines, those trend lines, are drawn from the top of that gap. And then you can see where they kind of come into play as trend lines. The blue one as resistance, that orange one as support.
It's definitely capturing the action in through here. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Which in a lot of ways, regardless of where you drew it from, this little just clusterfuck that we're creating out and through here, it's kind of indicative coming into something like a Jackson Hole or an FOMC or an OPEX or something like that. Just a lot of churn, a lot of move, price discovery in a lot of ways, if you will, which I think is what we're getting through. Did you see, and not to take away, because this right here, what you're posting, at least in this little segment, I guess over in the futures room. It's a futures room.
Well, there's a thread.
The futures thread. Where's that dude? Some dude named Palm.
Yeah. Palm's good shit.
Yeah, I don't know about a palm. I don't know the palm. But I do know he posted something, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday, which I felt was just really, really amazing. And I'm going to post it in through here. It's the search and destroy model. I'm not sure what his method is, but when you take that, when you look at what Bender just posted, at least that grouping in through there, and you post it up in here, this inner circle trader search and destroy market profile, it's like you can see so much similarity within that, to kind of give you a visual of what the price action this week has been in a lot of ways. And basically, it's jam-packed full of stop hunting, which we've seen. It's jam-packed full of a lot of type of shenanigan that leads to chop and a lot of frustrated ass options holders is ultimately what happens. Unless you're extraordinarily nimble in what you're doing. So these types of visualizations are for those either in the Roadhouse or the ones, check this out, because having a visual understanding of what's actually taking place that's being defined, very, very cool. It's like I had never really seen anything like that. But when I look at this little thing that's posted here, and then I turn around and I look up at what Bender's posted, it's like, yeah, there's so much of that activity in there, and going into major events kind of makes sense in a lot of ways. So yeah, anyways. Anything else, Mr. Bender?
That's all I got.
All right. Stonking ton. Stonking ton.
Hello. Good morning. Bender, what was that one called? Something pitchfork?
It's a modified shift pitchfork.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I was like, okay, that sounds cool. Looks cool. But needed to look that one up. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, levels. This is beautiful that we are within all the levels, sitting right up against what I've got that I'm looking for today. Amazon was a daily inside bar, pretty compressed. So I'm going to be looking if it can break this 134. That's a dark pool, as well as just the round number psychological level. And then if we go down, Amazon, I'll be looking for the reaction at 132.9. Upstart, also a daily inside bar. Pretty aggressive with the call trigger at 27 flat, another psychological round number. But if you want to be like extra conservative, see if it can break yesterday's high. That was around 28.2. And then if we're going to go down on Upstart, I'll be looking at 26.5 to the downside. And then just below that would be yesterday's lower orb, and a pretty longer term key level is 26.3. So if we want to be more conservative, we want to watch the reaction to that, 26.3. And then Apple. Apple, I posted the daily chart on Twitter. Could maybe be some kind of doji from yesterday's daily price action. So it's sitting right here under this line I had, 168 flat. And then it has two dark pools from earlier this week below. So I kind of like that, seeing that there. I've got dark pool at 167, 57, and 37. So we'll see if it can hold those as support. And then if we're going to go down on Apple, I'll be watching 166.85. But that's all I got for the list levels.
So what's going to happen, Stonkington?
We're going to all make all the money.
Stonkington with the answer of the day. The answer of the day was given. We have no choice but to make the monies, everybody. Do we have an understanding of this? Ender, should we bring up the baseball bat to make sure people understand?
You might want to.
Okay, we shall. We shall. All right, everybody. So that's the day. We do have data coming out 30 minutes after open. New home sales will be, that data will be coming out. The one thing that people get a little bit confused about, and I just want to touch on it a little bit, that data that came out this morning, durable goods order, that was positive data. That was good data. Even though it was flat-ish, it was positive. When we get positive data, the dollar spikes. That's what happens. That's the through line. That's the story. Okay. When negative data comes in, the dollar dumps. We're in a period of causation right now to whenever the dollar rockets, we have a tendency to take it in the face with equities. Whenever the dollar dumps, equities catch a bid. That's the environment we're in, okay? But that can shift and change. That can become completely different at the drop of a hat. Data at the top of the hour, I think, is going to be fairly important because it is something that that Powell has been talking about over and over and over again in the context of all the messaging from the Fed as far as affordability of housing, over and over and over again. He has made that point very, very clear. So going into that data, we need to be really, really cautious and aware that these main points that he talks about the job market, housing market, and inflation. These are his hot buttons that he talks about. This is one of those major data points. Let's see what the reaction is. The other thing is Biden is set to address the student loan situation today. Some people are still with me in the SoFi calls from earlier this week. You need to manage that position and be willing to take profit as it moves. There's a tendency on announcements for things to sell off. So again, need to be very, very aware. The only thing that I'll say about SoFi, this is very, very specific to them. They put up one of the best quarters in the entire fucking market this last cycle. Their call was probably the best call that I listened to in the entire reporting cycle. They removed student loans from their business model, Bender, is that correct? And removed guidance or anything associated with it out to 2023. Any type of relief, any type of help that could be given absolutely changes, their story moving forward. So keep that in mind. This is very ER-ish. If you're holding those options coming into this announcement, this is ER-ish. So be aware. It's okay to take profit. You'll be able to, most likely on open, take 100% and move. Don't be a dummy. All right, Bender, anything else? Stockington, anything else?
Nothing for me.
Bender says nothing for him. Stockington? Oh, walking his dog. All right, everybody. We have 23 minutes till open. 23 minutes till open. Let's get comfortable. Let's figure it out. And let's have a badass day. Thank you, everyone.